I'll be damned if I'll do 3 terms under federal court oversight for a debt I never incurred and not be given the chance to serve this community in the manner that I could if you take the other hand from being tied behind my back.
That was former Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone on his way out the door last October. Penzone said he was fed up with having to deal with a court monitor who's been on the job for a decade and with spending millions of dollars to fix a department that a judge said Joe Arpaio broke years ago. So who would want this job? Today, we're meeting one of the 3 candidates in the Republican primary for sheriff. Frank Milstead is the former head of the State Department of Public Safety, appointed by Republican Governor Doug Ducey. He's a former Mesa police chief and a career cop. Also on the ballot are Jerry Sheridan, he was once Joe Arpaio's top deputy, and Michael Crawford, a career first responder. First responder Frank Milstead, welcome to Sunday Square Off.
Thanks, Bram. It's good to be here.
You're a career cop. Why on earth did you decide to become a politician?
Well, I don't really look at it as politician. I mean, I've been, I guess, at some level a politician before. I had to be the face of DPS and the face of Mesa PD, set the vision and what was expected of the men and women there. For me, it's really a nonpartisan job. Policing is providing world-class police service to everybody who asks.
What is the clearest difference between you and your 2 opponents?
Success, experience. I'm the only one in the race that's actually led 2 major police departments. I was able to push crime down in Mesa to 60-year lows, and we know that crime in Maricopa County is on the rise, and somebody has to be there to combat that and have ideas how to get that done. And even with DPS, it was reinvigorating DPS and making the troopers proud of who they were and combating crime at a statewide level.
Former Sheriff Paul Penzone, we just played a soundbite of him, said he couldn't do this job with one hand tied behind his back by a court monitor.
Correct.
Why do you think you can do the job with one hand tied behind your back, as Paul Penzone said, or do you think you'll have your hands tied?
So this may sound incredibly optimistic to those watching and to you, but I think in about 12 to 18 months, we can resolve the issues with the court monitor. I think I bring a different skill set to the job than Paul had. I have negotiated things at the highest level, both federally, locally. I built the Arizona Border Strike Force with help from the state legislature and from Washington, D.C., from Customs and Border Protection. So I just think I bring a different skill set, and the job is what you make of it. And the other gift that I have is I've been in law enforcement my whole life. At least my adult life, and I have a deep bench, and I can put together teams that can galvanize people together for common good.
When you say 12 to 18 months, get clear of the court monitor, what would it take?
Well, I don't know that they've attacked it in the right way. I look at some of the people that have actually had the job. There's actually a division with MCSO called the Court Implementation Division. If you have people assigned there and they haven't successfully implemented those issues, you're either not putting all the effort that you need to it in, or you have the wrong people trying to solve the problems.
Have you seen the actual checklist of things Paul Penzone had to do?
Yes, it is. It's very onerous. I've actually tried to reach out to those who have put those in place prior to taking the job, or at least running for the job, and nobody will talk to you about it, which is quite disconcerting.
What do you mean nobody will talk to you?
Well, I called the people that I tried to contact them, and no one will talk to you about it. They say, no, I'm ordered not to talk, or you have to talk through the monitor, and you can't get people to tell you what's going on. And then inside the agency, there's this kind of cloak of secrecy that they don't want to let anybody outside know. And I don't know if it's because they have a sitting sheriff that's also running for the job as a Democrat, or that they're just not sure exactly what they're doing. I don't understand the issue. I've never come up with a problem any time in law enforcement that I couldn't solve.
On the ballot in November, there will be an initiative placed there by the legislature that would allow every law enforcement officer in the state to arrest and detain somebody they suspect of having crossed the border illegally. Would you vote yes on that initiative?
Yes, I will vote yes on it. I mean, I'm a lifetime Republican. I'm a lifetime law and order person. I will tell you, though, that the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is enjoying from doing immigration enforcement. What I really think is important, and that bill's going to be challenged 100 different ways. If it ever actually makes it to a law, we'll deal with it then when it finally has its final product.
But it sounds like you're saying Maricopa County Sheriff won't be allowed
No, the only thing we can do is work on criminal predicate, and that's really what's important. And I think that's what Maricopa County citizens want. They want someone that's tough on crime, someone that'll get these people off the street and incarcerate them, and that somebody will prosecute them and make sure they go to jail or they go back to where they came from.
Regarding what you said about the law, it would seem to me that if this ballot initiative is passed, it still would need the U.S. Supreme Court to decide.
Well, somebody's
whether it's legal, and that decision might overturn the restrictions on Maricopa County.
Well, I don't know that it'll overturn those restrictions because that comes from a federal judge, a federal monitor that's there in place. But I think what's, again, important and what people are fed up with is the fact that we have an open border. Nobody has been tough on crime, and that they want someone to make sure they're safe. So, I mean, we watch these stories from across the nation of these people becoming victims of violent crime, and they don't want that to happen here. And that's why I think they should vote me in, because I'm the guy that will put those things in place. I'm the one that can bring the morale back to the department and put women and men back in deputy uniforms to go out and be on offense and provide world-class police service.
You said the job is what you make of it, but this job, almost 80% of it, is serving as the county's jailer.
I wouldn't call it 80%.
It's the biggest piece of the job. Is it the biggest part of the funding as well?
It is. It's a big part of the job. It's the biggest part of the funding. And it's important, and it's at risk right now. You know, there's 600 corrections officers short right now. So that creates a safety issue for anybody within the jail, no matter what side of the bars you're on. The other thing that's really complex is the fact that there's 1,200 people in the system right now that owe the county less than $1,000, but there's no system in place as a trustee program to help them work off their fines, to do something to get them back on the street, give them warm release, get them back out into society so they can be productive.
So are there changes in laws that can be made to reduce the jail population? Is that what you're saying here?
I think it's changes in policy. I mean, when they had a chain gang, or they had trustees working in the motor pool or trimming trees or doing gardening, whatever it was, I think those things need to come back so they can earn their way back out into society.
Now, you know, for a lot of people, those reflect the era of Joe Arpaio, who...
Well, and Joe was tough on crime.
He was tough on crime. He also had immigration sweeps that were deemed illegal.
And my city, Mesa, at the time when I was the chief, we were the victim of some of those. And I think that's where things went sideways, and I think that's where things got out of hand, and that was another day. But Joe was tough on crime. He tried to dissuade people from committing crimes. And again, a lot of people looked at the chain gang as a punishment, or being out working was a punishment. The people that did it actually enjoyed it because they got out of the cell. They were able to go do something productive with their time and with their mind.
We have to talk about, I think, what was the highest profile case of your career, certainly the highest profile criminal case we'd seen here in a long time, the investigation of the 11 freeway shootings.
Correct. Back
in 2015. They terrorized the valley. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured. At the same time, no one has ever been convicted of that crime. County Attorney Bill Montgomery at the time dismissed the charges your agency brought. They were insufficient. The police work was criticized. Do you bear responsibility for the failure to actually bring charges and convict someone in that crime?
So with complete candor, I think it was mishandled by the county attorney's office. I think we had enough.
You think Bill Montgomery's at fault?
I think it was mishandled by his office. I think we gave them enough information to convict Leslie Merritt Jr. of the crimes. Leslie Merritt sued the Arizona Department of Public Safety for $10 million, and we had a summary judgment. He got $0, 0 cents. The county felt as though they had caused him some conflict, and I think they wrote him a check for like 90 grand somewhere down the road. But Leslie Merritt, in my opinion, is still the freeway shooter, and we had the right guy in custody.
A nationally known ballistics expert said the crime lab botched the job.
But we also had a nationally affirmed ballistics expert that said that they didn't do it correctly. There's always different opinions, and I think we did a good job. I think we could have done a better job in our initial interview. I was very new to the agency and was unfamiliar with all of the talent that existed there.
There was some bullying in that interview, at least one of those interviews. The transcripts show that.
I'm unaware of that. Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard that before.
Okay. So this was all Bill Montgomery's and his office's fault.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said we bear some responsibility in our initial interviews and how we handled things, but I think we put together a good case, and I think that was shown to be true when we were sued for doing something wrong, and we had a summary judgment from a judge that said, no, they didn't do anything wrong, they don't owe you $10 million, and send him on his way.
Okay. And as toward the end of your tenure, there's a question about your judgment, personal judgment, caught for speeding 90 miles an hour, pulled over. You showed the trooper your badge, which was interpreted as a way to get out of a ticket. Ultimately, you got a warning. Was that appropriate?
So those all have been asked and answered. That happened 5 years ago, and I don't know that I can apologize enough for it or provide enough restitution to make those who don't want to be happy about it happy, but I made a significant donation to a charity over that. I don't think it actually happened the way you just depicted it.
There's video.
Well, that's what I mean, and I would watch the video because it isn't what you said. It was a mistake. We've apologized, and we're moving on. And really what I came here today to talk about is what I can do for Maricopa County.
I guess you're a career cop. Why would you do that?
Again, that's all been
badge.
asked and answered. Watch the video again to make sure you understand what happened, and we'll go from there.
All right. Frank Milstead, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck.
You bet. Thanks, Bram. I appreciate it.